Hey, there you are. Thank you so much for coming back to the Dancing Sober podcast, and welcome to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in and to listen. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Picaresca Cafe. Picaresca Cafe is a small coffee shop over on Soto Street near Olympic. It is inside of a little shopping center. Look them up on Instagram and on their website, Picaresca Cafe. They roast their own coffee. And they also have food pop-ups that are always different. So follow them so you could find out who's cooking this weekend. And they also roast our little bags here. And I'm going to be selling some of these bags this weekend, October 22nd, at Other Books. They're going to have a little spooky sale is what they're calling it. A spooky sale this Saturday, October 22nd from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that's a big window for you to drop by, pick up some coffee. Remember, when you buy this coffee, you not only support Dancing Sober podcast, but you also support a small business, Picaresca Cafe, and we really appreciate the support here, believe me. I want to give a shout out to Espacio 1839. Espacio has opened their doors to allow us to have our podcast in here and record this until we get our own space. And so, very big thank you to Espacio, a little cultural store and art gallery. You can come here and check out some art. You can buy some books. You could buy some T-shirts. You could buy some aretes. You could buy just a ton of stuff. It's Christmas season pretty soon, so start getting your gifts together. And but also save money if you need to, because recessions and stuff. ¿Qué más les digo? Speaking of the holidays, don't forget to go to rafa.la/shop if you want to look at some of the t-shirts that we have for sale. And I'm thinking of putting the coffee on there. The only thing is that the coffee is $20. And that's the retail price that they sell it at Picaresca too. I'm not adding to that. But if I sell it online, I'm going to have to add shipping. So that's going to add a price, and so that becomes a pretty expensive coffee bag. But remember, everything that you buy from there is helping support this podcast, so think of it as, a donation, even though that money goes to the post office. I appreciate you, all of you, very much. And today's guest is our first mariachi on this show, I think, right? Yeah. I'm excited to have this guy and have a conversation with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Gustavo Hernandez García. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dancing Sober podcast. And today we have a special guest from the local mariachi, from the local musician scene, from the local locos. Please welcome Gustavo Hernandez García.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. It's good to be here.
Yeah. I've been wanting for a while to have a mariachi, and it's like I've been doing, musicians and artists and some singer-songwriters. I was like, I gotta get a mariachi. And I've been following your Instagram for a while since we connected on Instagram, and dude, you have a lot of amazing shit. Like just like really impressive resume of stuff, and we're gonna get into all that. But just to start off, the mariachi that you're a part of. Give me the full name again.
Garibaldi de Jaime Cuellar.
El Mariachi Garibaldi de Jaime Cuellar. Not only did you guys play at my mom's house for Mother's Day, which was a grand event in the middle of COVID, at the beginning of COVID.
That was the first thing we did, actually, since COVID.
Yeah, and that you guys had the little masks with the mustache, which became pretty popular. I thought that was fucking amazing. But I'm just gonna say this now, right now, and then we're gonna get back into your life and start from the beginning. But this mariachi that you're a part of is the official mariachi for the Rams.
No, not for the Rams.
The Dodgers.
Technically, I don't know.
I saw you guys do the Ram stuff too.
Well, technically it was me. So yeah, I know. Like it's got little blurred lines there. I know, right? Well, no. So I don't know if technically we're the official mariachi for Dodgers.
You guys have the boots that say Rams and all that.
No, we got the moños that say Dodgers, and they got sombreros, but they belong to the Dodgers.
Got it.
But so what happened with that was that lots of mariachis had played there, but we had played a few times, and then one time we were there, and Jensen called us out into the field when they were warming up. And he's like, hey, come play. Actually, I think he wanted us to play for Urias, but I didn't even see him. And then we were like, yeah, all right, let's go. And we go, and you know, I'm kind of a big BSer. I got a big mouth. And Joe Kelly comes over and he goes, what's up, man? I'll trade you my jersey for your jacket.
Oh, that was the big...
Yeah,
that
right.
Was all
and
over
then
the news, yeah.
Right, and just to make it short, it ended up not being me who traded. It was Grover, which was perfect because Grover...
Right size.
Bleeds blue. I mean, this man is a serious Dodger fan, like so bad.
That's one of the younger kids.
Yeah, he's one of the younger dudes, yeah. And so they traded, and I mean, that already kind of like went lightweight viral, but then a couple of days later, not a couple of days later, when they won the World Series that year, yeah.
Last year, yeah.
Well, it wasn't last year. Unfortunately, it wasn't last year. Because if they had won last year, we would have sung on national TV.
Right.
I was like cheering so hard this year and last year for that. But yeah, they met the president and he took the jacket to the White House.
That's right. Oh yeah, he wore that jacket to the White House.
Right. So ever since then, everybody's like, "Oh, you got to keep that Mariachi there."
So that's why in my head, you guys are the official. Like
maybe to some people, definitely.
It feels that way. Yeah. But I mean, it's still a pretty big deal. I mean, regardless.
No, it is. It's fun. I love it. I love it. At first, it was hard work at first, actually, and especially with COVID, because everybody gets drunk and then they get all up in your face and like it's cool. Like I like hanging out with people, but at first, like especially during COVID, like hey,
you want to be
back up, you know.
Yeah. I don't want mocos, you know. Yeah. Let's go back then and then let's just learn a little bit about you. I mean, I don't know a lot about you at all, so let's just see what's up, bro.
All right.
So let's start with.
Be careful with what I say.
No, you don't have to be careful. It's all good here. Let's start with where you were born and where you grew up and stuff like that.
I was born in Berkeley, California, the Bay Area there, and I was born and raised there, school and everything, and
you like grew up in Berkeley around hippies and around
not that much around hippies, although I mean Telegraph Avenue, I guess that's what we thought was super hippie, right?
Telegraph is it's well not just hippie, but it's just free.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I was little, I remember back then it was still, I don't know if people if it's legal still or if just nobody does it, but I remember it was allowed for women to go topless.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. Like it was like still a leftover thing from then, from like the 70s or whatever.
I think when I was in high school, there was a dude that used to go to Berkeley College naked.
Oh, a math dude, I think.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing about that.
He was all over the news because, according to whatever the rules, he can do it as long as he's not, shaking it or whatever. So he would literally go to school naked, and people were like, "Oh, it's just another day with
another day in Berkeley.
Naked guy walking across here."
I was on the wrestling team for like a second, and then when we go wrestling somewhere, like, here comes Berkeley, Yeah.
So how was it growing up there, though, compared to, living in LA? And
I guess I feel really lucky. Like LA's been really good to me. I gotta say, I would be a very unappreciative person if I didn't mention that. I love being here now, but of course I love where I'm from. And
you're East Bay, all right?
Yeah, big time.
East Bay all the way. So I get it.
And it was really diverse and really inclusive. Like those weren't maybe diverse we used back then, but you didn't say inclusive that much or whatever. And I feel really lucky because of that, because I had friends from everywhere and exposed to so many things. And then the thing, and this is not the slam here, but like I was really kind of tripped out when I came out here for college, and I was like, oh, there really is like a black, like straight up black neighborhood, Latin hood. This is where these people live. Like it's pretty segregated. Like I thought back then, like, what a trip. Because over there, it was like that too. Like there's especially in Oakland, like, oh, this is where black people live, this is where the Mexicans live. But there was like a lot of bleeding through.
Yeah.
Like, this is where the Chinos and the Mexicans and the black people live all together or whatever. You know what I mean? And
I remember that because I have family up there and we would go up a lot, and I remember that it was always very mixed, especially if you went like, certain parts of, San Francisco downtown and all that. Mm-hmm. It was completely multicultural in a lot of ways. And I remember telling somebody that, like, oh, it's really, mixed over there. But somebody else was like, yeah, but their racism is different. It's like,
yeah, I bet.
The people that are racist are different in, like, the way that they show it. But
But again, being
now we're in a different atmosphere. I mean,
Right.
this was way back then, and now it's like just completely out in the open and shit.
Yeah.
Even in cities like that, where
Like
it's
that,
where you think it's the most forward-thinking city, it still has.
I was definitely, I would never call myself sheltered, but in terms of like actual for real racism, I was like, I finally felt racism out here, I think, for the first time. And it was like, because I think like calling someone racist is like one of the worst things you can call someone. So I'm not quick to call anyone racist. I'll be like, nah, that person just didn't know, or nah, that was a mistake, or whatever. I don't think that person was racist.
Grew up different.
Yeah. And then so when I finally was walking down the street one day and I saw this little old lady out here, and I smiling, hello, and she just looked at me with disgust. I just remember thinking, am I dressed in hella thuggish? Like, what's the problem? And it happened 2 or 3 more times with old people in that neighborhood, and I just remember going, oh, they know I'm Mexican. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay. Yeah.
It's that like clear sometimes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, fuck.
I couldn't believe it. And especially being light skinned, like I guess that's a blessing in that way. I never really felt it that way. And I'm like, what do you see that's so gross,
I think the worst one that I ever felt is I took my mom and dad out to dinner once when I had like a good job and I had some money. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take them to a nice steakhouse. And I took them to a steakhouse, and when they sat us, like you could see like the person sitting us like talking to the manager and going back and forth. And then they finally sat us, and they sat us like in a separate room. And I was like, oh, VIP, this and that. But then I walked by like the main room and we were leaving, and I was like, holy fuck, they're just separating us.
Wow.
They fucking separated us from the main fucking room of people that was pretty much all white. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't tell my parents. I don't know if they felt it.
Right.
But yeah, that was like pretty bad for me that day, yeah. But anyways. So high school, did you go to college out there?
Actually, I did. Yeah. So music.
Wait, were you into that Bay Area hip hop?
Yeah. I mean, well, it depends on yes. Yeah. Not so much at first. Funny enough. It took me a second to get into E40. Exactly. A little bit, yeah. All my friends were into it, and I'm like, what are y'all, like, this is so goofy. Like, I thought it was so, because it was gangster rap right there, right? And even though he technically was gangster rap, he was, like, hilarious.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't into it at first. I was kind of like, but, eventually.
It's funny, he has a distinct voice and a distinct flow that it takes a while. I wasn't, like, big into him in the beginning either, but little by little, when you start to understand him and understand, like, the entire, like, culture that he just cultivated himself. Like,
yeah. Right, all the way from Vallejo. That's right.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I was into that stuff too. But I was pretty close-minded, unfortunately, musically when I was growing up. I really only listened to rap and mariachi music, and that was kind of like my own little thing. Like none of my friends and my age really like they listened to it, but they didn't like own records and stuff like I did or whatever, right? But I really wanted to be a musician. I think probably ever since. I don't know how old I was, but whenever we saw La Bamba, yeah, I was like
how
little.
Old are you, if you don't mind me asking? What year were you born?
I turned 40 this year.
Okay, so you were born 81.
82. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it came out around the time I was born, but I saw it probably when I was like 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Because I was like a teenager. I was around 15, I think, when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm like 10 years older than you. So yeah. Wow. That's a long. So you were really little, and you just.
I wanted to do it, but I
wanted to be Richie Valens.
Well, I wanted to learn to play guitar and sing, but that was my own. That definitely wasn't my only influence, but that was the one where I remember going, I want to do that, But
you wanted a flying guitar.
The flying guitar. That's right. I definitely wanted to do all that, but I was shy, and we were broke, of course, right? And we didn't. I mean, I'm a first generation Mexican, right? So my parents had come from Michoacan. They actually went to Chicago first. Because they knew some people out there, and then and then they moved to Berkeley because most of my mom's family, I guess, was out in that area in the Bay Area, and
it's an interesting choice, Berkeley.
Yeah, I always ask them stuff like that too. I was like, what happened? I mean, I grew up with a lot of people like that, and I didn't. That wasn't what I wanted to do, So I mean, but it sucks. It's funny too because you talk about opera and stuff. Being in places like that, I've gotten that. Like, I mean, I don't know what I look like to you now, but like if you know what a gangster looks like, you know that that's not me.
Yeah.
But like if I was in like in a certain place and someone said, "Oh, he's such a cholo," and I'm like, "I am."
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of annoying. I was like, I spent my whole life not being that, and now I'm grown and people act like that's what I am.
Yeah. Like in the 90s, I had a girlfriend that was like a quebradita girl.
Okay.
And I remember showing the picture to one of my bosses, and she was a white woman. She's all, "Oh my God, you're dating a chola." And I was like, "That's not a chola. Like, you don't know what a chola is." But yeah, I guess they generalize that too. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Again, if you don't know what something is, then you just well, it's like when people say all these songs sound the same, and we all do that, right? I don't like that music because all them songs sound the same. Well, it's like it's not until you actually listen to it, you go, oh, there are differences.
The nuances.
There's a thing that ties everything together.
Yeah. So let's get back into a little bit of how you like first got into music. And so you were 3 and you decided you want to do this, but when did you actually like know that?
Actually try. I think
or actually start to take lessons, or did you do it yourself by ear?
I did it by myself at first. Because I was super shy. I didn't know who to ask, which is something I try to change now. I have like a baby sister. Like I'm 21 years older than my sister, and at one point when she's like started kind of wanting to do stuff, I was like, ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask. Ask me. If I don't know, we'll find out who knows. But like one thing that I regret big time about being a little kid is I wanted to play guitar and I didn't know who to ask, so I'd go as far as asking my parents. They didn't know, they weren't musicians, and that's where it would end. And so for I don't know how many years, I think I started learning to play the guitar when I was 19 or 20. Okay. All those years I wanted to play guitar, I didn't learn. But I started teaching myself to sing in junior high. Quietly at my house with Pedro Infante records. Like I heard him, I'd heard him all my life and seen the movies and thought he was dope and all that. But it wasn't.
You have the little mustache.
No, I have the little mustache because our mariachi is really traditional and we don't do beards.
Oh, okay.
So I had a goatee. I have a before I joined the group, mostly my look was a goatee. Yeah. And he's just like, the beard's got to go. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I don't mind. I don't mind that.
How do you teach yourself to sing? Like, man, because I've tried.
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't have the ear for it, but I can't really pick up notes. But when I have tried harmonizing with people, and I can harmonize when they tell me what to hit, but I can't. Like, I wouldn't know it. I guess it just takes practice.
That's dope that you can do that because that's not easy either. It took me a while to do that at first, but I think it's a lot like almost everything else, man. Like I have this. My theory is that like everyone's born with at least this much talent in something, and then you might be born in more talent in that, so it's easier for you to pick that up. And I might be born with more talent in this, so you know what I mean. So because I do remember thinking like the first time I grabbed like a silly little keyboard, I could pick out melodies, and I didn't know anything about music. So I was like, well, obviously listening, like playing by ear and figuring things out by ear, is something that I was born with more of, maybe, right? Than maybe like my cousin or whoever, right? So I think it was a little bit of that. Like I loved it. And so I got obsessed with it, and thank goodness it wasn't something that was impossibly hard for me to do. Yeah. Like I'll talk about this. I used to love to draw. Man, I used to love to draw. I wanted to do comic books. I wanted to make my own company. I wanted to do all kinds of stuff. And I drew okay, but it took me years to draw okay. Yeah, and then I got really dedicated to music, and then one day I was like, oh man, I want to draw again. I've been drawing so long. And it turns out you can forget how to draw. I am terrible at it now.
How to practice is all.
And it's so hard for me to try that I'm like, well, I would rather spend these hours like practicing music than practicing.
It's the same thing. It's
not a talent that I have enough of, so that I can get good at it fast, like I did with music or whatever. Yeah.
So, what do you do to besides music, do you have another creative outlet? Like,
I mean, yeah, but I am pretty obsessed with music, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course, that's your main thing. I'm just wondering if you have like something else that you do just to.
I love to write. I've been writing a lot. I used to write screenplays because I love film.
Nice. I
write stories now rather than draw them.
Everybody in LA has unwritten screenplays.
Yeah, right?
I mean, unfinished screenplays. I have a couple myself. But I'm just wondering what. Tell me one of them. Like,
well, the one that's like a full-length feature that I actually finished, I did back then, like when I was 18.
Nice.
It was so stupid. And they ended up making a version of it anyway, right? But it was like, I mean, whatever. It's stupid, but it had its things. It was about like, I had ran into this really pretty girl one time, and I was like, damn, she's fine. And the girl I was with that day was my friend, and she goes, her dad's a mobster. And I was like, that's dope. I thought it was so dope. That's dope. Imagine if I was dating a mobster's girl.
Mobster or like mafioso?
Mafioso, like an Italian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And and I was like, that's dope. And so I just wrote a whole story about that. Like, what if me trying to come up as a singer, you know, because by then I was interested in Italian music, right? So I was like, okay, this mobster sees me singing somewhere somehow. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining, but that's the idea. I'm a singer. I like the mob ends up kind of adopting me. They think I'm a wholesome kid, and then there's a big misunderstanding.
What happened to Frank Sinatra? So
I don't know, but something like that.
That's pretty cool. That's a good story. Yeah. I mean, you should rework it at this age. Like, you know,
I want to rework it.
There might be some, you know, things you'll change because you have a different understanding of life.
It's cringy to read now, right? There's good ideas there, but like you read them.
You have a good base to work off of.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good story. Yeah, that sounds like something, you know, a lot of Hollywood producers would be like, yeah, that's what we want to do. You know,
that'd be great.
It's not
hire me. Yeah, do my movie.
It's not too risky. It's not too, you know. It sounds like something fun.
Yeah,
but. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah. What's one of your favorite movies, if you don't mind?
Man, I really love film, so it's hard to say that. But like, okay, for example, one of my favorite Pedro Infante movies would be Dos Tipos de Cuidado.
Okay.
Like all his funny ones are pretty good to me.
You do the golden era of Mexico.
I love that stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, big time. You know, you would think growing up the way I did I thought that I would think it was cheesy, but
did you used to watch? I don't know if you lived in LA, but Channel 22. Back in the days where they just played Mexican movies all day, like no commercials.
I watched that, but in the Bay Area. Yeah.
That was a good channel.
Yeah.
Wow. So, growing up in the Bay, when and at what point did you start to like get into groups, and then somehow tell us, or where does it fit in that you started to do opera? Like that's
right.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting chapter too. I'm interested in finding out
a lucky chapter, I guess.
How that started and how you developed that, and are you still working in that?
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm trying to fast forward through it. So I started teaching myself to sing in junior high.
You don't have to fast forward, by the way. We have plenty of time.
All right, I just feel like, well, if you let me, man, I'll talk forever.
Yeah, let's hear. I want to hear the details. Yeah.
But you ask me, and I'll elaborate.
Okay, go for it.
But so I started teaching myself to sing in junior high. Real chicken. I think probably by the time I was a sophomore in high school, I finally started singing in front of people, and it's because I bet my dad $20 I would do it, because he was like, he started making fun. You know, my dad's cool, but he likes to make fun of stuff, so do I. And he saw me singing one day, and instead of saying you're good, he was like, I bet you won't do that in front of people. You're a chicken. And so I bet him $20, and I sang Mexico Lindo y Querido. I'll never forget it, because I messed it up. Everything you can mess up, I messed up. The words, I was out of tune, I was out of time. And then I cracked on the high note at the end. It was embarrassing. So the second time that I ever sang, but
still it hurt.
You don't think, oh, that was my first time, I'll get better. Like, but I knew that I loved it enough that I never wanted to stop doing it. So like the second time I ever had to, it was like a cousin's wedding, and they were like, pa que cantes. And I was like, I started trembling, like literally, I couldn't eat anymore. I was so scared, and I kind of walked outside and gave myself a pep talk. I'm like, do you want to sing or not? Like, you can't be a punk. Go up there and sing if you're gonna sing. So I went up there and just scared and sang 2 songs, and that's how I got over it eventually. And
where was this?
Those in the Bay Area, like the first one like at a friend's restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And the first one was the second one was at a cousin's wedding somewhere, like in the Central Valley or something. And yeah, man. So I started getting a little bit better. Started singing in school. People started kind of finding out. And then I was in a math program at UC Berkeley, like in the summer.
I mean,
right? No, well, it was like I was all right, but I was just trying to get.
You were a high school.
I was trying to get into college, yeah.
Getting the college credits,
right,
or just experience.
And el señor who ran it, his daughter was dating my homeboy, and he told him, he's like, "Hey, Gustavo can sing," and he's like, "Oh, I heard you can sing," and of course back then I was still kind of like, "Man, who told you that?" Like, what the hell? He's like, "No, there's a program here at UC Berkeley, and if you get in, they'll let you into whatever college you want." So I was like, "Oh, my mom will like that. Sure, yeah, whatever. Tell him I'm down. And I just thought, a lot of people just talk and then don't do anything. But later that day, he's like, hey, I talked to the director, and she says, call this person, and you're going to have an audition. And I was just like, all right.
Wow.
And I still didn't know what it was. And so, long story short, I got in.
You were like 17, 16?
I was 17 or 18. Yeah. So technically, I was actually too old for the program. So they weren't even going to let me in. But my mom really wanted me to get into college, and she kind of banged on the door a little bit because I was like, I told her, Mom, if they're not calling us back, man, we don't need them. Like, whatever. I didn't know, but she knew something I didn't know. Right?
She's like, hey, college.
Yeah. And so I got in, and I sang a Nat King Cole song and a Javier Solís song to get in.
Wow.
Right. And then it turned out it was opera. It was classical music.
Wow.
And they were
the program was for classical music.
The program, yeah, they had a jazz side to the program too, but I wasn't going to get into that. Like, that's for someone who actually been studying music their whole life, right? And at least classical singing, it felt like they could just kind of, if you had something, they could work with you. So yeah, I got in, and luckily he started teaching me Italian music because he started with English music. For some reason, I just thought it was too corny.
English music?
Like English classical music.
American classic or English from England?
Actually, I think the first thing that he taught me was American. Yeah.
So what would that be, like Cole Porter or
No, like was it Charles Ives or
like Gershwin or?
Nah, that's more. I mean, the Gershwin had a classical education, but Gershwin, you think of jazz when you think of Gershwin, but which I love all that stuff. But no, it was something like it's actually something that you hear in church in English a lot. So it was like really, again, like if you love this, I'm sorry, but to me, 18-year-old me, I thought it was so corny. I couldn't get with it, and I think I almost quit. And luckily, he must have seen it, and he's like, "Here, man, sing this Italian thing." And I just thought, I was, Spanish is my first language, but my dominant language at this point now is really English. But I could read the Italian. I could go, oh, I understand this. Yeah, this is like Spanish. This is romantic. This is beautiful. I can do this. And thank God, because then I loved it. Became obsessed with it. I got good at it. And of course, when other people start telling you, you're pretty good at that, you start going, I am, huh? So then I started winning competitions, and
nice.
And then I didn't know what I was going to do. And the next thing.
So at this point, still, are you considered a high school student?
By then, I had just graduated high school.
Okay,
but
so
you
graduated high school, but you're in this program now.
I'm in that program, and I got good really fast.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about that program is it was like musical boot camp. And so like when you didn't have classes or something you're supposed to do, you basically lock yourself in a practice room, which is like a little jail cell with a piano. But the thing is, I didn't feel that way because I loved it. So I just sitting there. I would sit there all day. Like they'd be done with school, and I'd still be in there. So I got really good really fast. Thank God. And yeah, man, I loved it. And so that December, I had only been studying not even for a year yet. And they were like, hey, we're going to do Handel's Messiah with the orchestra here at the UC Berkeley, and we want you to be one of the soloists. And I didn't even know what any of that meant. And yeah, man, I was like, cool, I'm down. If Mr. Tigner was my first teacher, if he believes in me, if he thinks I can do it, I'm down. Whatever. It's in English anyway. That was in English, but British, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I really that experience definitely changed me, because the way they do those concerts is the orchestra's all behind you. You're all on the same stage together. They're all behind you. The director, the conductor's in front of you. The soloists are right there in front of him. And so the music starts playing, and I swear, I mean, the way I felt it, all the music, like a superhero movie, man. Like it all shot through me and then out to everybody else. I was addicted after that. I was like, what do I gotta do to keep doing this?
I finally went to the LA Phil to see Dudamel conduct.
Mi tocayo.
And that fucking feeling that you're talking about, like, goes throughout that entire fucking building. It's crazy.
There's nothing like live music, man.
It's crazy. Like, everybody's just sitting still, but these waves of, like, energy just keep crushing through you. Yeah. That's fucking badass. Wow, dude. I mean, that's a fucking impressive and this is just the beginning for you.
That was just
an impressive resume for you.
And I was just beginning. That's why I thought all kinds of things were going to happen. So my life, like everyone else's life, I guess, was kind of was full of U-turns and stuff.
I mean, and Berkeley produces a lot of successful, great musicians too, right? I mean, did you know that at the time? Was that it was like?
I mean, I No, I didn't know anything, man.
Yeah.
I was so ignorant.
Little paisa kid from.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, like what I tell my sister now is like, go find out. There's something you're interested, find out. Especially now with the internet, right?
Yeah.
But back then I just, I remember thinking that I was gonna get discovered by singing in the church.
Yeah.
Like some random dude was gonna show up to my church and hear me sing and go, "You're dope. Here's your album."
Yeah.
I had no clue. I remember writing in a journal in school one day, like I'm gonna produce a demo this year. What was a demo? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Where was I gonna do it? I don't know. I didn't know anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now it's so easy to like record at home.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah, now I can do
I mean, it was way different back then.
Oh, yeah.
It was completely different to think of recording something and having a good sound.
Wasn't cheap.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap and it was just so out of reach.
Yeah. I mean, it could be done. It's just you had to want it.
Yeah.
You had to want it, and you have to find out how.
And hustle to get it.
Yeah,
And
because there's like a dope recording studio in Berkeley that's like classic. Like Santana did a lot of good stuff there, and like you have really famous people all over. But I didn't know it looks like an abandoned supermarket. Like if you drive by that neighborhood, I had no idea until one day I got hired to do a movie, and they're like, "We're gonna record there," and I was like, "Where's there?" And I show up, and I was like, "Yo, this is like a historic place. It's right here in Berkeley." I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've done music for movies or just as a mariachi?
That one for sure. I'm trying to think. I think I've done like other smaller things too. Like, you want to laugh? You know who Ryan Coogler is?
I'm not sure.
He directed like Black Panther.
Okay, yeah.
The first Creed movie, right?
Yeah.
He's dope. He's hot shit in Hollywood now.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
He went to USC. He's also from the Bay Area, and we did a student film together. But I didn't like know him. Like it was my homeboy's project. But he was on the project too, and he's like, "Oh, he's from the Bay." I was like, "Oh, he's from the Bay. What's up?" And we exchanged numbers, and I just never hit him up. And the next thing I know, he's blowing up. I'm like, "Damn, guess I should have hung out with Ryan Coogler."
That's badass.
But yeah, I did music for projects like that. But
That's badass, dude. Yeah, see, it's like it keeps growing. Like your resume just has like so much fucking That's one of the things that I kept tripping out every time you would do a post on Instagram. It was just like, wow, something different and something more exciting and something like, yeah, it's really cool that you're like, you put your hands wherever, you can create, places to create. It's so different.
Well, I love everything now. Like I guess it's me making up for being so closed-minded in high school, because you wouldn't have caught me dead listening to country music. But like I had a chiropractor out here when I was boxing, and she would make me wait for her for hours, and she'd be blasting country music. I'm like, man. At first I'd be making fun of it and laughing at it, until eventually I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. That's a good story. Those are good lyrics. Wow, that's good music. I want to write country music.
Yeah.
Never in a million years you heard me say that in high school. Oh my God.
No.
Yeah.
It seems I should say the best country music feels like it was so easily made. Like,
I mean, I think that's everything, though, right?
It's so simple.
It seems effortless.
It seems effortless. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. It seems like it just, oh yeah, these three words fit here, but that's just not easy either. I mean, it's intense to write something like that and to get that right economy of words.
Yeah,
in place. And like do you write music too? Do you write words?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you write music because you're telling me that, but do you also write lyrics? And
yeah, big time.
That's another thing too. Like, do mariachis write new songs? Like,
we're trying to.
Everybody does, of course, the classics and the what do they call the standards?
The standards,
right?
yeah.
And so, like, yeah, that's like a new. I guess the new things that I'm seeing mariachis do is do contemporary songs, which is like the thing right now. Everybody's doing all these Bad Bunny songs, which is
about that, but
it's fun but hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to hear like a brand new mariachi song that becomes a standard in the future. You know what I mean?
I hope, man, from your lips to God's ears. Because you know what's really funny? You know what I laughed at when you texted me? I guess technically it wasn't last night. It was this morning. I stayed up because I was looking up all this different stuff online last night. But I was like, I have been putting out this song that I wrote last year. It's kind of a Dia de los Muertos sort of thing, but not really, because it's actually a spooky song.
Remember Me or something like
that? No, not that one. I get a lot of smack for that one though. But
that's hilarious.
But no, I wrote this for so many years. I just thought, I think a huapango in minor has the capacity to be a really maybe a spooky song if you have like a
what's a wapango
spooky story. So wapango is that I wish I had brought the guitar now. It's a style. Sheesh.
For example,
I'm trying to make it short.
Is there
what
a
I'm gonna
song
say?
that you know that?
Sure, La Malagueña is a wapango.
Okay,
Right.
not familiar.
Malagueña, salerosa. What's a really famous wapango than that then? Well, sheesh,
But it's a slow
we might have
moving.
to edit some of this, right?
Is it a slow moving like?
Well,
like
the ones in major typically are fast. So, Serenata Huasteca, canto al pie de tu ventana, pa que sepas que te quiero. That's a fast wapango,
that
right?
one, yeah.
Right. And Malagueña is in minor and slow. Qué bonitos ojos tienes debajo de esas dos cejas, right? That's slow and in minor.
Okay.
That style, that boom, boom, chick, boom, boom,
Got it.
okay? That's
all
a
you had to
wapango.
do, that
Okay, okay, my bad. Damn, that's all I had to do. But so for a long time, I had been saying, like, I'm gonna write some cool, spooky thing like that. And so I had gotten this idea from like little bits of the idea came from different places. But I was watching this movie once where this couple are fighting. It's a bad fight, right? And the lady says, "Don't leave. I won't make it without you." And he says, "Well, then you won't make it." And he leaves, and she kills herself. And I'm like, damn, that's heavy. What a dope story. And then, so my wapango is basically that, but she haunts him, and he doesn't know it. So he's like, man, she's following me around. I hear her voice all the night, man. She's stalking me, right? But at the end, he finds out, oh, she killed herself, and she couldn't live without me, so now she's haunting me. So it's kind of creepy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I like stuff like that, right? So
I mean,
so it was really to please me. I hope everybody else likes it, but
There's
I just submitted it to be released last night.
That's
Or this morning.
okay.
So it's again really funny that you messaged me today because I'm like, oh, perfect. I could talk about that. Yeah, I just released a song,
and
it's new.
And it's gonna be on Spotify and all that.
It's gonna be on all that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. That's one of those stories that is like, it's just so fucking like straightforward that you're scared by it, but you also like love it, and you also like allow yourself to like get taken by it. If you want to absorb the music and the song. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good story. I like it already, and I haven't even heard the song yet, but I know how it goes.
I made a music video to it last year, and I put that out on YouTube. And then for some reason, I really don't remember. I didn't like release it. Yeah. It's like, whatever. I'll put it out around Dia de los Muertos again this year. And we've been so busy, and I'm like, it's not gonna make it, man. And so finally, I just forced myself to do it last night.
How difficult is it? I mean, this is an insane question, but I'm just thinking, like, there's a ton of mariachis, and there's, an elite, badass fucking group of mariachis, and then like they all have like one leader that uses that name, and it's like being in the alley Phil, like, and you could be the first chair, but people might not ever know your name.
Right.
So how difficult is it for like a mariachi to create his own career, like separate from, to...
It seems to be pretty difficult, man. Because so Mariachi Vargas is a great, obviously they're the world's best mariachi, right?
And mariachis recycle people all the time.
Right, and people change groups and stuff, right? They've got great they got great musicians, great singers. Of course. And, you see people from groups like that and the groups here in L.A., like Sol and Camperos, you see they got amazing singers. And then every once in a while you'll see that one of them kind of goes, hey, well, I'm gonna branch out and I want to be a soloist. And it's tough. I don't know about poo-poo, but
no, it's
but it's tough. Like you think, well, that guy's so good. How come I don't hear him on the radio? Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean that also happens to super groups too, I guess.
Yeah.
Like New Edition only had one Bobby Brown.
Right.
For example, but yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I don't know. Now this is just like questions that are popping up in my head right now, but like as a creative, how difficult is that to like to always be like? Well, I mean, I guess it's because it's what you do, but you always have to like fit within like the mariachi. Like you can't break even your mustache. Like you have to follow all these rules.
Well, we don't.
Oh, you don't?
I don't anymore. Like, there's so much stuff that I've recorded. I'm just trying to figure out how to start putting it out and make the most of it. But I've been breaking all my rules. I was, I mean, I think again, just for ignorance. When I first started, I was very like, well, mariachi is this, and opera is that, and R&B is this, and jazz is that, and blah blah blah. Not knowing that people were already blending the styles. Like for example, Jose Hernandez in Sol, he's probably one of the first guys to really do really jazzy stuff in mariachi music. It's dope. And no one goes, that's jazz, or you ain't supposed to do that. I mean, probably back then people were like, what are you doing? You know, but it's dope. Everyone now like loves. If you go back to those recordings, everyone hails those recordings as some of the greatest stuff especially from that time.
And some of the like early mariachi too. I mean, from what I've listened to or what I've figured out, sometimes is that some of that really early stuff is like very orchestral, right?
Yeah. I guess Ruben Fuentes, who just passed not that long ago, was real instrumental with that. Like, you'd see mariachis in the movies, right? And they'd sing their song either just with the orchestra, just with the mariachi, and then eventually you wouldn't know it, but if you actually listen to the recording, so they mash them both. You'd hear the vihuela in there, but then there's still an orchestra going on.
Yeah. Wow. So now what are you gonna do? Some 808s and mariachi, or?
Actually, I have done that.
I mean, it's done.
Something that it's something that I did just a couple years ago. Like I wrote.
It's such a thin line between like good and fucking cheap.
I know.
That's such a thin line. Yeah. You can fuck that shit up quick.
That's why I've only done one, and I've been trying to. Really, what I've been waiting for is I'm trying to figure out how to do a cool music video to it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just gonna stop tripping and just put it out next year or something. But yeah, I did. It was how did it start? Oh, it started in English. I wrote a song in English that I thought was kind of cute. It was like I was talking to this girl, and I mean we weren't like talking to each other, but like in that way. But she was also a musician, and we were laughing about something, and I was like, yeah, I would do that just to prove it was love. Ha ha ha. I was like, oh, that's a cool premise for a song. So I wrote this very poppy thing,
just to prove it was love.
Yeah, in English. And then I remember thinking, this would be cool in Spanish. So then I started over in Spanish. And I was gonna do a like R&B version in English, and then I don't know, like a poppy kind of, Sin Bandera version in Spanish. And then I thought, well, why don't I just finally? I was like, why don't I just mix them together? I'm gonna do mariachi orchestration with it, but I'm gonna give it a beat. And finally, I got it to a place where I thought it wasn't corny, and I thought it was pretty dope. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And so it's recorded, it's sitting there. But I kept telling myself, I want to do like a.
You're gonna send me that tonight, right? It's like,
yeah, I'll hear it.
I want to hear it.
All right,
hell yeah, I want to hear it.
But yeah,
I love hearing like brand new shit, like fresh out the box. I want to go back a little bit and try to understand how it was that you you started mariachi, you went to school and all this, and how did you figure out or what was your trajectory that brought you into the actual group that you're in now? And how has that experience been for you as part of being, a part of a successful, group? Yeah. And how do you define success as a mariachi? Because that's, as an artist, I understand like the difficulties and ups and downs of it.
It's not always financial success, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we get paid good. And we do really cool stuff. But let me see. So after all that,
move this just a little bit. Right there, go.
Okay. So after I started with the classical stuff. Next thing I know, I really fell in love with it, and I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. So I went to music school. I went to the conservatory in San Francisco. They accepted me. I graduated early from there.
Wait, where is that conservatory?
In San Francisco. It's the originally back then it was on.
It's like a theater and music conservatory.
It's like
in the middle of the city.
No, I think you might be thinking of ACT. The Conservatory of Music is like a classical institution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, I mean, now they have more stuff like jazz and world music, but it was mostly
classic
opera and maybe a little bit of musical theater.
Wow.
But yeah, so I went in there, I graduated, and then I got out, and around that time, actually, I had almost been signed to a major out here for Spanish stuff, but it didn't go through, and then I was kind of like, well, what do I do now? And I was like, well, I guess I better keep studying. So I ended up at USC in their classical program, and that's how I came here the first time, like to live. I graduated from that program. I did not want to leave, but I graduated in '08. So there was no jobs, at least for music. Damn. And so I kind of ran back home to my parents' house and started teaching out in the Bay Area. And for a second,
over the bridge, it's not that far.
Yeah, right. Just 6-hour drive, and I almost was almost going to quit music around then, and then I got into the chorus at San Francisco Opera, and it was like a huge opera, one of the Wagner ones. So I was just like, oh, that's right, I forgot, I love this stuff. And then I got other little more opera roles there in like some of the smaller companies, and then I got invited to come and sing at LA Opera. And I thought it was a 3-month gig. So I was like, okay, I'll come to LA for 3 months and I'll go back. But then when I was here, like, how do you say it in English? I guess I started
planning routes and shit.
I started getting lots of gigs without even trying. Like, I was like, really? There's this much classical music in LA? I had no idea because I was in school when I was here. And so one of those gigs that I got really lucky with was a conductor who, también pobrecito, he just died recently, would hire me to do classical and Spanish music with his orchestras. He directed a bunch of orchestras. And so I did a lot of like Granada, and I requested Amorcito Corazón, right, from like my Pedro Infante stuff. But like lots of the really classical Spanish things, and then like a little bit of opera sometimes. And a couple of the shows that were Latin themed, Carelli's group Ballet Folclórico de Los Angeles was dancing. And her husband now, but I guess fiance or boyfriend then, Jimmy, is the leader of Garibaldi. And we had met when we were both really young at a mariachi conference in Fresno, but we didn't really know each other. Like, we just like, oh, I remember you, yeah. And he saw me wearing the traje and singing this stuff, and he's like, is he really a mariachi or not? I don't know this guy. So he started asking around about me, and we did more stuff together. But like me, I was the soloist, and it was like they were the group, and then her group was dancing, and then finally we did this thing with Lupita Infante and at La Fonda.
Wow!
Right, so it was like half her set, half my set. And we did some duets, and Jimmy's group was playing, and we were talking. He goes, "So I heard you play guitar," and I was like, yeah, but I haven't touched it in a while, like a long time. And he was like, well, you think if you can get up to speed, you wanna join my group? And I was like, yeah. Like, man, at that point I hadn't been a mariachi in forever. So at that point I was only singing opera. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I was so happy. The first rehearsal, I didn't know what to expect. I was chicken. I felt like a punk again. I was like, these fools are gonna know I'm a fraud. Like, I could sing. I wasn't afraid about singing, but like playing. And man, I started hearing the guitarrón. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that like up close for so long, and I was hooked again. So yeah.
Nice. And so immediately you just jumped in the group, and
and then
the rest is history.
A bunch of really cool opportunities from there for random things like playing for Camila Cabello and doing her single to, I don't know, what have we been doing? Like orchestra gigs and.
You end up in a lot of movies too, right? You end up in like movies in the back and all that. Do you do that?
I can't remember, dude. I have to think.
Or TV shows.
I know we've done, like TV shows.
Morning news.
Yes, yeah, all kinds of things like that. I don't think we've done have we done a movie recently? I don't think so.
Because sometimes I'm like, God, like, the mariachi's here, but some people that hire you guys, they just hire you guys to just like be like an intro to something, and then they like keep going. So it's like, how difficult is that where you're like, you're there to play and you're there to do your art, but then it's like you become like a second thing in the back. Man. Or what was the worst experience like that?
It wasn't the worst, but it's definitely the one I laugh at the most. I don't know if I should name the company, but
you don't have to name the company.
So I was in the Bay Area, and a large tech company that you've heard of hired me to sing for Cinco de Mayo, but just me. And I just remember thinking, just me? Cinco de Mayo? Like, I'm thinking Cinco de Mayo is like sones, very joyful, upbeat music that's very mariachi that you can't really do with one person. And I'm like, am I really going to sing La Negra and play and by myself just with the guitar? That's weird. How am I going to do that? I'm trying to figure it out. It turns out they put me next to the coat hanger in front of the door so everyone could see, look, guys, we've got a mariachi. and then every couple of minutes they come over and be like, "Can you sing softer?"
Oh my God.
I was like, "Yo, you should just put a mannequin. You should have put a mannequin and put Spotify on or something." Yeah. But I was like, you know what? Está bien. They pay me really well.
Fucking good check.
I got to sing soft. As soon as I was done, I ran home to watch the fight because Cinco de Mayo fights, right?
Yeah.
And I made a good amount of money and I didn't burn my voice out. That was great. But it was hard to not be like, man, y'all wanted a set piece. You wanted a mannequin. Like you didn't want a mariachi. You didn't want a
set piece, a prop. Just
you wanted a prop.
Can be
right.
there.
Yeah,
that shit's crazy, dude. Yeah. What about when you brought up La Fonda, I thought about how that place doesn't exist anymore as a space for mariachis, and what are the other spaces right now like that? I mean, I know Cielito Lindo, does that still exist?
No, but different. Cielito Lindo closed down, but he opened up a spot somewhere in the OC.
Okay.
I think it's called Casa del Sol. I should know this stuff. But.
I mean, even El Mercado is closed right now since COVID. So, like, where is, like, the mariachi, like, center right now in Los Angeles, or is there one?
Man, is there one? I don't know.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, is there spaces that I don't know of that are, like, if you want to go see mariachi, go here.
Right.
And you'll always get a good show. Because my family used to go to Cielito Lindo a lot back in the days.
Yeah.
But... And, they did like a 1 hour show, you're out, next group, 1 hour show, you're out. And I'm just wondering, are there spaces like that still?
There are. I'm not the person to ask.
Well, then who am I going to ask?
I know, right? Only because I'm such a good boy that I stay home and I practice and I don't drink. No, but because I don't go out like that. But like my homeboys go. Like I know there's a place. Is it in Alhambra? No, what is that? In Montebello. There's a joint in Montebello for sure.
Yeah, right off the 60 right there.
And
I forgot what it's
one
called.
really far away. Well, I think it's far away, right? Like, where is it? I know it's not in San Bernardino, but like around there. Like, there's like a joint that's really famous for it.
Sendejas or something like that.
I should know this stuff. Like my boys talk about it all the time. They go and they'll put it on their stories that they're there drinking and singing with everybody. But I never go. Like I'm always kind of hustling, man. Like I want the stuff that I write. I'm home writing it. I'm home doing that stuff or practicing. Not enough, but practicing. Yeah. I don't go out like that. Like last night, my buddies dragged me out to play pool, which I love to do. Yeah. But like even that was like, I was like, I don't.
Well, you're in hustle mode. You're in create mode, and that's like, that's your own high right there. It's your own place to be. And
well, because like I told somebody about some TV show I was watching recently that I thought was really whack, and I was like, why am I wasting my time sitting here watching this person's dreams? I should be going making mine, So it's like I like to support my homeboys and go whenever I can, but
of course.
But like on the other hand, it's just like I'll be sitting there like, that's dope. Hey, you did a great job.
I mean, you would end up going
home writing this stuff.
You would end up going out every night if that was.
Yeah, exactly. And I should do a little more of that.
You have friends that play every night, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so that would be a lot.
But balance, man. I need to do more of that. I do need to go out and have fun and see some of these things. But
when you work at home, do you work with like a producer, or do you work with somebody else, or is it just you?
I start everything, and then I have people who I work with a lot. I have a real good friend in Santa Clarita, I guess, that I work with. So I'll start everything in my house. I'll send them stuff, and then we'll go over there and actually get it together. Or there's guys here too, but ever since COVID, it's like not that I've lost touch or anything, but sort of. Yeah. Like there's somebody I really want to work with real close here, and I talked to him the other day. Hey, let's do this thing for Christmas. He goes, I'm gonna have to let you down. I'm really busy, And I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll work next year. But it's like, I want to work with you, but he's like right here. But yeah,
let's go get him.
Yeah.
So what do you now hope to do in the future with what you're doing? I mean, what are you working towards?
It'd be nice to make more money.
But are you trying to do you think you're trying to? I know you're planting seeds, but which do you want to be like the solo artist? Do you want to create your own mariachi? Do you want to stay with your mariachi and let that grow, or do you want to write music for movies, or all of them? I mean, I know it's all of the above.
I don't want to create my own mariachi. I mean, I did at one point, but I just don't want that responsibility. It'll take away.
A lot of work.
I don't know how Jimmy does it. I tell him all the time. I'm like, yo, I got mad respect for you because you do all these things on top of. Because I was in charge of a mariachi before. In the Bay Area, when I got into the first mariachi I was in, at one point, like we would shift, and he'd be like, you take it over now, and it was dope. It was cool to be in charge and to kind of be like, oh, let's do this way and let's do that. I'll write this out. Let's do it my way. But on the other hand, there's that pressure of like keeping it together, making sure everyone is being professional and do this.
It's kind of good to just show up.
Yeah, it is real nice to just show up and do my thing and like just do the music and have to worry about the administrative stuff. So I will not be doing that. I told Jimmy, because when Jimmy met me, I was a soloist, and he's like, hey, man, I don't expect you to stay here forever, and I'm not trying to hold you down. That's why we get along so good, because he's really cool, and he's really respectful of everything. But I've always told him, I was like, well, I love working with you, even before we work together this way. So if I ever do get lucky and have some financial success as a soloist, I still want to work with y'all. I hope that we can all play together still. So I would love that, but what we're doing now, I'm really happy with. Like the concerts we're doing, we've been touring. Yeah. So the concerts
you guys are hot right now, right?
Well, we're doing our thing. Yeah.
Put it in understandable words. Like you guys are pretty hot right now.
We've got work. We've got a lot of work.
I know that
real cool stuff.
I know that a few gigs didn't come through because the Dodgers lost. So.
Right. Right. I guess the only positive thing was I got to sleep in a little on Sunday once we finally flew in. But
so what happened that day? Tell me.
Oh, man, that was the saddest dinner that night. It was so funny. And again, I'm from the Bay Area, but like I was really rooting hard for y'all. And for us, I don't know. And so what was supposed to happen, what we thought was going to happen is we had a really early flight to go do a concert in Tracy, California. And
the day of the last
game. Was on Saturday. Yeah, that's right. The day of that game. I kept thinking, I was like, I'll stay positive, dude. I'm thinking we're going to win. The Padres, get out of here, right? And
you can't go out like that. Exactly. They were 2 ahead, and you were like, man. It's
And, of course, we checked it before the show. We checked the score in the intermission. And then we finally got the bad news at the end of the show, right? And so we went to go have dinner. And the thing is that we booked a really early flight the next day to make sure we were back in time to play for the Sunday game that we thought we were going to play because they weren't going to lose. Mm-hmm. So that was a quiet. And it's not that I don't drink. I don't drink mostly for my own vocal health. Yeah. I love to drink. If I could drink and not have to pay the price for it as a singer, I would. But that night, I was like, all right, we got to drink. Like, it's kind of cheap,
So everybody
I salute to the Dodgers, and it was a great season, but I mean, to drown our freaking misery because we thought we thought we were going to go into the World Series. I thought we were going to be on national TV doing the national anthem. Like, I was ready. I was so psyched for that.
And would you be the one to get to sing that?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Well, just do it anyway, bro.
Oh, we have. I did the Mexican national anthem.
You know what? That'd be actually a good idea. Just shoot a video of you singing like to the Dodgers, in full outfit at Dodger Stadium, looking over from Elysian Park, looking over.
Yeah, right.
And, record a little video like we still love you.
Yeah, we still love you. Thank you for a great season. Man, we should. Maybe you're right. I was thinking like you meant to like as an audition video, but like we've done it. Like we've done the American one there, and we've done the Mexican one, but we really wanted to do it on national TV. Like that would have been amazing, right? Maybe next year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So let's just say, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about? Is there something else that we missed?
I want to talk about it. What I don't know. You tell me. Help me out. Like I could talk about all kinds of stuff.
All right, let's just get a little fun story of like who was like where was your like drunkest like client? Because I mean you guys literally go play to drunk people all the time. But what was like the worst experience?
Trying to think. I can think of like one of the worst ones back in the day. I'm trying to think of something more recent, but
you can do it back in the day one.
Back in the day, what was he? We had this guy in that group that I had in the Bay Area. I don't know if I was running the group anymore, but there was one guy who was in charge of the booking. And the thing is, he had very broken Spanish. So of course he's really insecure about that, and worse when he had to talk to someone who only spoke Spanish. Mm. So this guy hires us, and he gets drunk during the gig, and apparently his homeboy had just gotten divorced. So it was a song that was pretty popular at the time called El Columpio, which technically is not a mariachi song. Now we all do it. But at the moment, it was like it's like a grupo song or whatever, norteño song or something. I don't know, whatever it was when it came out. It wasn't technically a mariachi song. So we were like, and especially then, at least for us in the Bay Area, we were like, well, we play standards. We don't play what's on the radio unless it actually is like a Chente or Alejandro Fernandez or one of those guys' song. So I, especially then, I was very conservative about that. I'd get indignant. What do you mean you want me to play banda so-and-so's song? That's not mariachi, right? Hire a banda. And so this guy's just ragging on us to play that song, and we didn't know it. It was new. We didn't know it yet. So we sang something. I was like, what does it say? Oh, it says this. Oh, here's a couple songs that say something similar. Classics, right? You can't, there's no way, I'm thinking, there's no way he's going to be mad at that. We're like, we did a good job on these dope old songs that say the same thing, that express the same sentiment for his poor homeboy that got divorced, right? But he comes up after the gig, and I think really what he was is he was trying to take advantage of my buddy who didn't speak Spanish so well, but he was also fueled by his alcohol. He goes, I'm not paying y'all. Y'all didn't do the song y'all promised. And so I was trying to let my homeboy take care of it because I didn't want to step in and whatever. But eventually I just saw it. Like, I could see it in his eyes. He's like, this guy's eating me alive. And I just kind of snapped. And I went over there and I was like, I was mostly professional, but I was kind of angry at that point. And I was like, look, you want us to do a song that you want? What can we do when we don't know it, right? Like, we're super cool. You call us before and you say you want this song, even if it's something that has nothing to do with mariachi. Ring of Fire, somebody asked for once, right? Who's that? Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash,
yeah. I was like, we'll learn it. The Tetris theme, we'll learn it. Hava Nagila, we'll learn it. We'll do it for you. You asked for. But if we don't know it in the moment, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Right? Now, you say you're going to pay us. Now,
Yeah.
I got a little hood on him. Said some things that I probably shouldn't say right here, right? And then all of a sudden, of course, like somebody's a tough guy. All of a sudden, you get tough with him, and then no, es que yo nomás decía. That was a hard one because I was just like, I'm not really gonna put hands on this guy to get paid. Like, we were here for a while. It's a lot of money he owes us now.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a tough position to be in where you get paid at the end. And you're just waiting for somebody that's drunk and probably walking around.
I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't know how Jimmy does it. I don't know.
Get that envelope before the show.
I'm sure we get,
You got to be like a stripper, or an escort where they're like, give me the money ahead of time.
Yeah, we need a bouncer or something.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun having you. Appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. I told you I've been wanting to do your show. I just didn't want to ask you. I'm like, can I do your show?
It's all good. I mean I've been watching your stuff on Instagram, and I think you have a dope ass resume, and you've done some good stuff, and I look forward to seeing more of your work. Tell people where they can find you on Instagram and on a website or anything.
Oh yeah, I never remember. I never remember my own names. Well, I got
the Instagram is right here below.
Yeah, right. By now he's edited in there, but it's Gustavo HG63 at Instagram, I think. I forget what it is at TikTok. It's like tenor something, but it'll be right here.
Do you put a lot of TikToks up?
I just started because I was resisting it, but yeah, my boys are like, dude, you gotta get on TikTok.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I mean, because people love those, quick little bites of music and shit.
Yeah, I put the thing that we did with the Rams up the other day, and that's pretty cool. Like, I guess people like that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was dope. 70,000 people, man. That was pretty crazy.
Sick.
Yeah.
You have a website?
It's down right now. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I guess maybe, I don't know when this comes out. I'll see if I can get at least something up by the time you put this out. Then
what's the website?
No me acuerdo. Something with the Gustavo Hernandez in the title.
Just Google Gustavo Hernandez. All right. Yeah. Well, we have a question that we ask everybody at the end of each show. And we ask that you try to answer in one sentence. So if a being from another planet or just an indescribable being starts to study you and look at all your work and realizes everything that you've done in your life and all of your accomplishments, and they're just blown away by you, how would you reply in one sentence if they asked, Gustavo, how do you do it?
I just say I do it. I do it because I have to. It's why I didn't quit. I realized I had to be a musician. I couldn't be happy without it. How do I do it? I do it because I have to. I just do it.
I do it because I have to.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.